All right, ready to dive into Atomic Habits.
Yep, bring it on.
This one by James Clear, right?
That's the one.
I feel like everyone's talking about this book.
Yeah, for good reason. It's really practical.
It is.
Like, actually helpful for building good habits,
Yeah,
and breaking the bad ones.
exactly. So that's what we are going to dig into today.
Sounds good.
Some of the big ideas.
Awesome.
And hopefully by the end, you'll have some stuff you can like actually try out yourself.
Love that.
So one of the things that really struck me about this book
Okay, yeah.
was this idea that tiny changes, like really small stuff,
Right.
if you do them consistently, can lead to huge results
Oh, absolutely.
over time.
It's kind of mind-blowing, right? Like,
It is.
it really challenges that whole go big or go home thing
Oh, yeah.
that so many of us, like, get stuck in.
Totally.
It's more like, think small, but think consistent.
Totally. And Clear uses this analogy
Oh, and I love his analogies. They're
Yeah.
so good.
of a plane taking off.
Oh, okay.
So if you adjust the course just a little bit
Mm-hmm.
at the start, like a few degrees,
Yeah.
you end up in a totally different place
Right.
by the end of the flight.
Right. Makes sense.
It's a really subtle shift,
It is.
but it has massive implications.
Right.
Right? And it's kind of like how our daily habits, like all of the ones that seem small,
Yeah.
end up shaping like the whole trajectory of our lives.
That's so true. I think about that all the time.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Atomic Habits isn't really about setting these like massive, crazy goals.
No, it's not.
Right.
Not at all. It's much more about building the right systems.
Okay, so explain that.
Well, Clear says
Mhm.
goals are like the results you want to get,
Uh-huh.
but systems are the processes that, actually lead to those results.
Okay, I'm following.
So it's less about,
Yeah.
I want to write a novel, for example,
Right.
and much more about actually cultivating the habits
Oh, okay.
of a writer. So that means setting aside time each day,
Yeah,
working on your craft, actually writing,
actually putting the words on the page.
Exactly. So you're not chasing this big abstract goal.
Right.
You're focusing on building the identity of someone
Okay,
who does this thing regularly.
okay.
So yeah, you become a writer instead of just trying to write a book.
I love that.
It's subtle, but it makes a big difference in how you approach the whole thing.
That really resonates with me.
Yeah.
I've like always struggled with sticking to new habits,
Uh-huh.
but maybe I was approaching it wrong this whole time.
It's easy to do.
Yeah.
You focus so much on the result.
Yeah,
You forget about the steps along the way.
exactly. Focusing on the outcome
Yeah.
and not enough on the like
The process.
daily process. Yeah.
Yeah, that's key.
So how does Clear like suggest we actually build these systems,
Right.
and form new habits?
Yeah, well, he has this like really helpful framework
Okay.
that he calls the 4 laws of habit formation.
Okay.
And it basically just breaks down habit formation
Mm-hmm.
into these 4 stages: cue, craving, response, and reward.
Okay.
And like once you understand these stages, you
Okay.
can see the levers,
Yeah.
the things you can actually like pull on
Yeah.
to make good habits easier.
Got it.
And bad habits, well, harder.
Okay, cool.
That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, so let's break down these laws one by one.
Okay, it sounds good.
What's the first stage?
So the first one's the cue,
Okay, the cue.
and it's basically like the trigger
Yeah.
that starts the whole habit loop.
Okay.
It's like a signal to your brain
Uh-huh.
that it's time to do a certain thing.
Okay.
It could be something external, like seeing your running shoes by the door,
Right.
or internal, like feeling bored or anxious.
Got it. So, like if I'm trying to build a habit of meditating
Mm-hmm.
every morning,
Yeah.
my cue could be like setting my alarm 15 minutes earlier
Yeah, love it.
and putting my meditation cushion like in a specific spot.
Exactly. You're creating that visual reminder
Yeah.
and associating it with a specific time.
Awesome. Okay, so then what?
So next comes the craving.
The craving, all right?
And this is where the
Motivation.
motivation comes in, right?
Yeah.
It's about the desire that drives the whole behavior. Like, think about scrolling through social media.
Oh, yeah.
The cue might be a notification, but the craving
Yeah.
is that feeling of like anticipating something interesting
Mhm.
or wanting to connect with people. That's what makes you keep coming back for more.
Totally. But what about habits that aren't inherently like pleasurable,
Right.
like meditating?
Uh-huh.
How do you create that craving then?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Right.
You have to find a way to connect the habit with a positive feeling.
Okay.
Or a positive outcome. So with meditation,
Mm.
maybe it's focusing on how calm and clear you feel afterwards,
Mhm.
or reminding yourself of the benefits.
Like less stress, more focus.
Exactly. You're basically hacking your reward system to make the habit more appealing.
I like that. hacking your reward
It's
system.
kind of like that, right?
So then the craving
Yeah.
fuels the response, which is like the actual doing of the habit.
Yes, exactly. The response is the action you take,
Okay.
the actual behavior. So in our meditation example, it would be sitting down, closing your eyes, and focusing on your breath.
Okay. And then the reward,
Right. The reward.
which is like the positive reinforcement.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
good feeling
Okay.
or outcome that you get from doing the habit.
Yeah.
It could be something tangible.
Like a delicious meal after a workout.
Exactly. Or intangible, like that feeling of accomplishment.
Right. After you finish a task.
Yeah.
So for meditation, the reward might be that feeling of calm
Yes.
and mental clarity you get afterwards.
Right.
And over time, that makes the habit more ingrained.
Exactly. The more you experience that positive feedback loop,
Yeah.
the more automatic the behavior becomes.
Wow.
It's like you're training your brain to associate the habit with feeling good
That makes sense.
and feeling satisfied.
So understanding these 4 laws can help us create a roadmap, right?
I think so. Yeah.
For building good habits and breaking bad ones.
Absolutely.
We can like figure out our cues, cultivate the craving, make it easier to actually do the habit,
Mm-hmm.
and then highlight the rewards.
Right. It's a good framework.
Okay, but how do we actually put these laws into practice?
Yeah, that's the key, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to understand it. It's another to actually apply it.
So what does CLEAR suggest? Like, what are some of the practical strategies?
Okay, well, one of the most powerful ones is called habit stacking.
Habit stacking. Okay.
And it's this idea of connecting a new habit you want to build
Yeah.
with an existing habit that you already do consistently.
Okay. So you're basically like taking advantage of an existing neural pathway
Yeah,
to
exactly.
make it easier to add a new behavior
It's like you're not starting from scratch. You're building on something that's already there.
instead of relying on willpower or motivation.
Yeah, willpower is overrated.
Totally.
You're tapping into the power of routine.
Okay, that makes sense.
For example, like imagine you always make coffee first thing in the morning,
Okay.
right?
Uh-huh.
You could stack a new habit on top of that,
Interesting.
like reading for 5 minutes
Oh, interesting.
right after you finish your coffee.
So the existing habit, the coffee,
Yeah, yeah.
becomes like the cue
Exactly.
to trigger the new habit.
The reading.
Okay, I get it.
It just becomes part of the flow.
That's so smart.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off, right?
on.
You're not forcing yourself to like
Yeah.
start from zero.
You're just sort of inserting it into this existing routine.
Exactly. It's sneaky but effective.
I like it.
Right.
But okay, what about habits that are harder to stack?
Yeah, good question.
Like things that don't fit neatly
Mm-hmm.
into an existing routine.
That's where the 2-minute rule comes in.
Oh, the 2 minutes rule.
One of my favorites.
Okay, tell me more.
It's all about reducing that barrier to entry,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Make it so easy to start
Right.
that you can't say no.
So easy that you can't say no.
You commit to doing the new habit
Okay.
for literally just 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay.
That's it.
So if I want to start running,
yeah.
instead of thinking about like
A marathon.
a whole 5K,
Right, or even a mile.
Yeah.
You just put on your shoes
Yeah.
and jog for 2 minutes.
that's it.
That's it.
And that's enough.
Well, the thing is,
Oh.
once you overcome that initial, like,
That hump.
yeah, inertia,
Yeah.
you often end up doing more.
Oh,
Interesting.
interesting.
Well, I'm already out here.
Right, right.
Might as well keep going a bit.
Exactly. It's like tricking your brain into getting started.
Totally. That first step is the hardest.
Yeah, always.
So if you make it super easy, you just like eliminate that resistance.
It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles
yeah.
begins with a single step.
Exactly.
But how do you like make sure those steps actually become habits?
Right. Good question.
How do you keep the momentum going?
Well, Claire talks about feedback loops.
Feedback loops. Okay.
Where brains love rewards.
Yeah, and hate pain.
Right. We're wired that way.
So if we could like connect a positive feeling
Exactly.
or outcome to a new habit,
Uh-huh.
we're more likely to stick with it.
Way more likely.
So it's not just about doing the thing. It's
Yeah.
also about recognizing the positive effects.
Yeah, it's about being intentional.
Like if I'm building a writing habit,
Okay.
after each writing session,
Mm-hmm.
I should like really appreciate
Yeah.
that feeling of accomplishment
Yes,
or
if
the clarity it brings.
you're reinforcing that loop.
Yeah, yeah.
Making your brain crave it more.
And it's not just internal rewards.
right.
We can also use external rewards,
Oh,
like
really?
a treat
Mm-hmm.
after finishing a hard task.
A little something to look forward to.
But isn't there a danger there?
Yeah.
Like relying too much on external rewards?
You can get dependent on them.
Yeah, and then the habit feels less motivating.
Less intrinsically motivating.
Yeah.
You're right. Claire does say that the best habits are the ones
Yeah.
that are rewarding in and of themselves.
Okay,
But external rewards can help,
right.
especially at the beginning.
In the early stages,
But it's hard to get going.
like training wheels,
Exactly.
when you're first learning to ride a bike.
They provide that extra support.
Yeah.
Until you find your balance.
Okay, so we've got habit stacking,
Uh-huh.
the 2-minute rule,
Mm-hmm.
and feedback, folks.
Yep.
What else does CLEAR recommend for building good habits?
One that's really powerful is environment design.
Environment design. Okay.
This one's huge.
Explain.
Our environment shapes our behavior
Okay.
more than we realize.
In what way?
Well, if you're surrounded by cues that trigger bad habits,
Right. It's going to be really hard.
yeah, to resist. It's like you're constantly being timid.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's the solution?
You design your environment to make good habits easier
Okay.
and bad habits harder.
So you're basically setting yourself up for success
Exactly.
before you even start.
Right. It's like instead of relying on willpower,
Yep.
you strategically design your world
Yeah, I like it.
to make it more likely you'll make the right choices.
Okay, can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you want to cut down on screen time before bed.
Mm-hmm. A classic.
Instead of fighting your phone,
Right.
create an environment that makes it less appealing.
Okay, how?
Move your phone charger out of the bedroom.
Okay, so you're not tempted to scroll
Exactly.
or like set a timer on your Wi-Fi
Yes.
to shut off at a certain time.
You're removing the cues
Right.
that trigger the unwanted behavior.
That's smart.
It makes it much easier to stick to your goals.
So you're not just removing temptations.
No. You're also making good habits more appealing.
Absolutely. Make
Well-
them more accessible.
Like if I want to work out regularly,
Okay.
I could lay out my workout clothes
Love it.
the night before.
So they're ready to go.
Right. Or join a gym that's on my way home.
Exactly. You're reducing the friction,
Mhm.
making it more convenient.
It's like greasing the wheels
Right.
of good habits.
And putting roadblocks in the way of bad ones.
I love that analogy.
That's good visual, right?
But sometimes, even with all this,
Yeah.
we still face challenges,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, for sure.
Motivation dips.
Yep.
We have setbacks.
It happens.
How does Clear address that?
Well, he says consistency matters more than intensity.
Consistency over intensity.
You don't have to be perfect.
Okay.
Just show up consistently.
Even when you don't feel like it.
Especially when you don't feel like it.
So even if I miss a day,
yeah.
it's not a failure.
Nope.
It's just one data point.
One blip on the radar.
And I just get back on track
Exactly. Don't let it derail you.
and keep reinforcing that identity.
The identity you're building.
Right. Like if I'm trying to be a writer,
Okay.
I focus on becoming a writer,
Yes.
not just writing a book.
It's a subtle but powerful shift.
It is. It's like I'm not just driven by the goal,
Mm-hmm.
but by a deeper desire.
To align your actions with
Yeah.
who you want to be.
Exactly.
It's about becoming that person.
So powerful.
It helps you through the tough times.
When the motivation fades.
Yeah, it's a deeper source of fuel.
So we've talked a lot about the individual stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but Clear also talks about social influence, right?
He does. It's a big part of the puzzle.
Like how does who we surround ourselves with
Yeah.
impact our habits?
He says we're highly influenced by the people we spend time with.
Makes sense?
If we're around people who share our values
Yeah.
and support our goals,
Yeah.
it's way easier to stick with good habits.
It's like having a built-in support system
Totally, like a cheerleading squad.
and an accountability partner.
All in one.
Yeah.
Like, it's like when everyone's striving to improve,
Uh-huh.
it creates this positive energy.
And it's contagious.
It is.
But on the flip side,
yeah.
if you're around people who are like,
Who aren't supported.
yeah, or they have unhealthy habits
It makes it so much harder.
to break free,
They're constantly being pulled back.
right? It's like that saying,
Oh, yeah.
you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
So true.
So if you want to change your habits,
Mm-hmm.
you might need to change your circle.
It's not always easy.
No.
But it can make a huge difference.
It's like joining a hiking group.
Oh, I like that.
You've got that support.
Yeah.
You can learn from each other.
And you're all going through the same thing.
Exactly. It's not a solo journey,
So we've covered a lot.
We don't-
The 4 laws,
Mhm.
habit, stacking, environment design,
right?
mindset, social influence.
That's all connected. But are there like any downsides to this approach?
That's a great question.
Like when might it not be the most effective?
Well, Atomic Habits is great,
Yeah.
but it doesn't cover every nuance of habit formation. Like
Right.
it focuses a lot on small changes.
The 1% rule,
Exactly.
which is great, but
Sometimes you need a bigger leap,
right, a more radical transformation
like a complete shakeup.
to break free from old patterns.
Exactly. Sometimes you need to go big.
Okay, interesting.
And another thing is,
Yeah.
it can feel a little formulaic.
Like following a recipe too closely.
Yes, exactly.
But sometimes you need to improvise.
Right. Trust your intuition.
Yeah, yeah.
Find what works for you.
Because everyone's different.
Exactly. Habit formation is personal.
Okay, so it's not about blindly following the rules.
No, it's a starting point.
A framework
Yeah.
for exploration and experimentation.
Find your own way.
Become a scientist of your own habits.
I love that.
Observe what works.
And what doesn't.
and adjust your approach.
Keep learning, keep growing.
And it's a journey, not a destination.
Absolutely.
There will be setbacks.
You keep moving forward.
Keep experimenting.
And refining your approach.
And celebrate the small wins.
Don't forget to celebrate.
Every step counts.
Every step is a victory.
It's about embracing the process.
Enjoying the ride.
And trusting those small, consistent actions.
They'll get you there eventually.
They add up over time.
They do.
To create the transformation.
The transformation you're looking for.
Okay. I'm feeling inspired.
Good. That's the goal.
So should we wrap up?
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Well, if I had to pick one takeaway,
Yeah.
it would be that change is possible.
Okay.
No matter where you are now.
I love that.
You don't have to be perfect.
Right.
Just consistent.
And those small improvements,
when you add them up,
over time,
lead to big results.
It's about shifting your mindset.
From I can't to I can.
Yeah.
From I'm not good at this
to I'm getting better every day.
Yes. Believe in your ability to grow.
It's about the journey.
The journey of becoming.
The best version of yourself.
Beautifully said.
And finding joy in the process.
Yes, habit formation can be fun.
It can be an adventure.
It is an adventure.
Of self-discovery.
Experiment. Find what works for you.
Celebrate the small wins.
Those are important.
So to our listener out there.
Yes, hello, listener.
Look up Atomic Habits.
It's a great read.
And explore these ideas.
See what resonates with you.
Be patient with yourself.
It takes time.
Celebrate your progress.
Every step counts.
And never underestimate the power.
The power of small changes.
Of those atomic habits.
They can change your life.
That's it for our deep dive
into Atomic Habits
by James Clear.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope you found this insightful.
Inspiring.
Until next time.
Keep learning.
Keep growing.
And keep building those atomic habits.
That will shape your extraordinary life. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface here.
Right. There's so much in this book.
But I think we've hit some of the big ideas.
Yeah, definitely some valuable insights.
It's clear why this book, really connected with people.
It's so practical.
Yeah.
It gives you something to actually work with.
It's not just theory.
Right. It's like, here's how habits work, and here's how you can use that to actually change your life.
And he doesn't make it seem like, you need this massive overnight transformation.
No, it's not about that
It's
at
the
all.
small stuff, right?
It's the little things you do every day.
Those atomic habits.
That over time make a big difference.
It all adds up.
It really does.
He's shifting the focus.
From what to how?
Exactly.
From the outcome to the process.
Instead of obsessing over the destination.
You enjoy the journey.
And it's a reminder that we have, so much more power than we realize.
Oh, absolutely.
We can actually shape our lives.
Through our habits.
Through the choices we make every day.
It's about taking ownership.
Yeah.
Not just letting life happen to you.
But consciously designing it.
Becoming the architect of your habits.
Okay, so as we wrap up.
Yeah.
What's one thing you hope our listener takes away from this?
That's a good question.
What's the big takeaway?
I think for me, it's that change is possible for everyone.
No matter where you're starting from.
Yeah, you don't have to be perfect.
Just be consistent.
Show up even when it's hard.
And those small improvements.
They add up.
To create something incredible.
It's like you shift your mindset.
From I can't to I can.
Yeah, from I'm not good at this.
To I'm getting better.
And believing in yourself,
In your ability to grow and change.
It's a journey, not a race.
Find joy in the process.
That's important.
It doesn't have to be a chore.
It can be fun.
It can be an adventure.
It should be an adventure.
So, to our listener out there.
Yeah, we're talking to you.
Pick up Atomic Habits.
Give it a read.
See what resonates with you.
And start experimenting.
Be patient. Celebrate your progress.
The little wins matter.
And never underestimate the power
of those small changes.
Those atomic habits.
They can change everything.
That's it for our deep dive into Atomic Habits.
By James Clear.
We hope you found it insightful.
Inspiring.
Until next time.
Keep learning and keep building those atomic habits.
That will shape your extraordinary life.